Can everybody see me? We had some technical difficulties and can't use the phone. Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, just type yes in the. So sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. We can't do it from the phone. We're trying to figure it out. But I guess that's the way that goes. So if anybody is here, if you hear me, please type yes in the chat, and that's it. I see it. I see one. Yes. And we'll get the class started in just a second. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties. So I'm going to wait just another minute and see if one or two people join. So it says there's 4 people here. I've got 1 yes. Anybody else? Can you guys hear me? No one? Can we check too about getting it into the I think we can do the same thing for the content on YouTube Studio. No, we can switch it up. It's gonna be better on the phone. Speak. Anyway, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Class. Thanks to the people who've come. So thank you everybody for coming. Been like about 5, 6 weeks since I started the channel, and I thank everybody for sharing comments, commenting, sharing, liking, uh, messaging, anything like that. So it's been amazing the positive results that we've seen from it. And I know we had a lot of people register for this course, so hopefully people start coming in as the class goes on. So my name's Andrew Satius, and I want to talk a little bit just briefly about myself and what I bring to this live today. And I'm got my master's degree in psychology about 2 years ago, almost 3 now, and I've been studying Eastern philosophy and Buddhist meditation for the past 6.5 years under a very well-respected Tibetan Buddhist teacher out here in Sacramento named Lama Jinpa. And done my own self-studies, hundreds and hundreds of books, and most importantly, I've been through the anxiety linger. I've seen it all. So it's that's what I consider my best credential that I've been through. And I also I wrote a book called Overcoming Your Anxiety. There we go. It's no longer available on Amazon, but talk to me directly about it. I wrote this book just about my experiences a few years ago in 2018. So just about my experiences and what I was going through at the time. So it's a good book. Hope you guys check it out. And so I want to get into a little bit about what anxiety does to people in their life. And for me, it was extremely debilitating. I had bouts of insomnia, headaches, exhaustion, and the exhaustion comes from just running in your mind all day, chasing. And some like 350 million people suffer from some form of depression, and about 30% or so will suffer from some sort of debilitating anxiety in their life. So those numbers sound daunting, but it just means that we're not alone in this struggle. And there was a great quote recently by Dr. Gabor Mate, I believe his name is. And he talks about how trauma isn't the event that happens to you. Trauma is what happens inside you as a result of the event. And I thought that quote was great because it shows that if it was the event, then we could do nothing about it, right? We can't manipulate past events. There are some traumatic things we can get out of, but since trauma happens inside of us, then there's a way to work with it. And trauma can be on many different levels. For me, my trauma was chronic worrying. I developed into OCD when I was in my like 7th grade into my freshman year of college. Bad OCD. I'd have to check the locks 30 times a night. I'd have to click the blinds a certain amount of times, and that's just my chronic worrying and anxiety manifesting in that way. And your traumas can be anything. And sometimes you don't even know what traumatized you, but you're in the anxiety loop, so the triggers are happening. And so I guarantee you, though, there's a way out of this. There's a path out of this. I can assure you of that. So it just takes commitment and time to learn and understand. And don't do like what I did when I thought I had passed my anxiety and I thought I had beaten it. And then I was like going out with my friends again, doing things. And then I was just like, oh, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back to me. But I'm back just meant I'm back to who I was. And I hear a lot of people say, I just want my old life back. And your old life is the life that got you to where you are now. So if we go back to our old life, we're likely to fall into the same patterns that we had before. So it takes commitment, it takes learning, and it takes understanding. And what this live is for it's for anybody. If you want to expand your knowledge, if anxiety is kind of interfering with your life, or especially if anxiety is drastically interfering with your life, this live is to learn a little bit about your thoughts, how they work, how we grip them, how we don't let go, how we're chasing or we're avoiding, and if we're fighting them too. And if you're fighting your thoughts, then your thoughts are your enemy. And that means you have a 24-hour enemy. And if you have a 24-hour enemy, then that is just following you around every day. So we need to learn to work with thoughts because right now we're fused, right? We're walking around like this, there's no space. We need to learn to work with thoughts, but that takes skills and that takes practical application, that takes exercise, and that takes knowledge and understanding. So if your thoughts are your enemy, we want to use all those things I just said to turn it into a friend, right? We want our thoughts to be our friend. There's a great quote: "The mind is a terrible master, but a great servant." And we want our minds serving us. We don't want our minds controlling everything we do. And that's what I hear a lot of people say in the surveys and everything is, I don't have control. I want control. But you can't if you're fused, right? Because there's nothing to control if we're fused. We're just walking around like this and we believe all the stories and all the negative talk that comes into our head. So there's a new way, at least to you maybe, because maybe you never tried it, there's a new way of doing this. And it's an old but proven way. Spiritual traditions and contemplative traditions has been doing this for thousands of years, and really the science is just catching up to it. So I hope that we're ready to go into this and try something new and explore something new. And really, we're trying to learn how to surrender. And I've talked about surrender. And surrendering isn't weak. Surrendering is connecting with ourselves. It's pulling up a chair and seeing that battle coming to you and sitting down in that chair and inviting the battle and welcoming it and saying, "This is me." Because right now we're fighting with ourselves, so we're disconnected with ourselves. If you're fighting with yourself, your thoughts and your emotions, those are in you. So you're disconnected from who you are at this moment, which is somebody with anxiety. And that's okay. That's okay to have. It really is. So, what do I teach? I teach about changing your relationship to your anxiety to overcome its grip on your life. It's not the thoughts and the sensations that are the problem. The problem is our reactions to them. The problem is our fusion with those thoughts and sensations. The negative self talk. This is me. I'm going crazy. This is going to be me forever. I'm such an anxious idiot. I can't do anything right. I can't go there. I'm going to get an anxiety attack. I'm going to get a panic attack. All that negative self talk. And it's our relationship to that. I don't like this. I want to get away from this. And those thoughts spark emotions. And then those emotions then spark thoughts. And then those thoughts spark emotions. And we go back and forth. And now we're trapped in a cycle. And we can't really see anything but the cycle because it's so powerful and it becomes our main focus. And I want people in this live to start developing a capacity for life, more life. So I'm going to give you a simple analogy. I don't know if you can see it because of the computer camera, but this is an analogy I like to use. I like to use a lot of analogies. Analogies mixed with practical application bring about the best results. So we want to develop more capacity because right now our capacity for life is very small. It's rigid, right? It's a narrow view, and our anxiety is that tunnel, and around the tunnel is where life happens. So I wanna demonstrate that this glass is your capacity for life, and then this water is all the things in life, good and bad, right? You got your traveling, work, parenting, friendships, social life, and we're done. Now our glass is full, and if I had, you know, tarp set up or something, I would overflow this glass to show you how quickly it overflows. So what we're trying to develop in life is more capacity. So more capacity would be maybe something like a bowl. So now all those things in life, good and bad, but now there's more room for life, more room for joy, right? And the water just keeps flowing. And that's life just flowing. And our capacity gets bigger and bigger the more we learn and the more we understand. It just keeps growing. More time for friends, for family, for trips, for relationships, for your career. And the water is out and the bowl's not even full. Is there any chance of getting capacity like that for life? So we're trying to change our relationship, but I don't do that using short-term skills. I do that using long-term skills. If you invest in short-term skills, then you get short-term results. And what happens with short-term skills is we start here with the skill, we go, the anxiety happens, right? And we get sent back. We have to apply the skill again, and we get sent back. There's nothing wrong with the short-term skill. There are good starting points. There's a lot of pages with motivational quotes, positive talk, breath tricks, breath exercises, but they're short-term skills. Again, there's nothing wrong with them. It's a great launching pad. But what we're doing here is we want deep change. We want to invest our time in long-term skills. Long-term skills produce long-term results. Changing your relationship with something produces long-term results. So instead of a short-term results application and we go back, now we have long-term skills, right? You have your long-term skills and your anxiety, and it's more longitudinal. So we're going this way, and our anxiety's it's come back up, then it goes down, then it keeps going up, and then it really goes way down, and we keep using those skills to go forward. So it's more longitudinal. It's more of a linear process that has its ups and downs, but we're not going back as much because we're investing in things that are changing our mindset, that are changing the way we see things, right? So we have tunnel vision right now. We buy into all our thoughts, we buy into all our stories. We're in a daily battle. I like to use another analogy about a stream, right? We're swimming upstream, and it's not the stream's fault that it's hard to swim. It's because we're swimming in the wrong direction. But we're so busy gasping for air, our muscles are exhausted, we're tired, we don't know why we're not getting anywhere because our face is in the water and we don't realize that we're swimming upstream. Even if we need to get somewhere upstream, you can get out and walk. You can swim across the current, get out and walk. Right? Or we want to swim in the right direction with the current, but you need somebody to point you in the right direction. You need somebody who's been through it to point you in the right direction because you're too busy in your battle with the stream that you're not going to be able to see anything else. That's a powerful analogy to show how we get lost in those battles with thoughts and sensations, and we can't see the right directions to go. And it's not our fault because we don't know any other way. Then, and we're taught this way, or we just naturally go this way because we want to fight. We have to learn. We have to learn to surrender. You have to learn to accept. You have to learn about your thoughts, how they operate. You would have seen me 12 years ago. I couldn't even talk about this stuff because I would get anxiety about it. If I saw trigger words, suicide, anxiety, anxious, depressed, anything like that, I would get anxiety. But now I can sit here and I can talk about it. I've worked with clients one on one and got results from people with anxiety who are living different lives. Plus, if you look up studies now, the science is catching up with those old contemplative traditions that teach you practical ways of accepting the moment as it is. There's a recent study done by Stephen Hayes, who is the founder of ACT, which is acceptance and commitment therapy, that shows that not only is the most um, anxiety is the worst. People come in to get one-on-one appointments with therapists, and mainly it's for anxiety. And ACT acceptance therapy is showing to be even more productive than the traditional CBT therapy, which is cognitive and behavioral therapy, because ACT really focuses on acceptance and really focuses on values and wanting to live those values in your life. So we're even seeing studies now showing this. So I'm going to briefly give a little bit about my story. So, like I said, when I was a kid, I was a chronic worrier. That's my trauma. I was a chronic worrier, and these patterns ingrained inside of me over years. I developed OCD. I went to therapy for like 10 years, and then kind of got myself together. And then around the age of 25, it exploded. And I remember when it first started happening was in New York. I was at my friend's apartment, sleeping on the floor, and I wasn't asleep yet, but I was on the floor, and I was leaving the next day to go back home, and I just started having this cold, deep sensation of fear and sadness, and I was weak. I tried to just sleep, but I couldn't because it was just this current running through my body. So I went to the bathroom, put some water on my face. I was just like, when you first feel it, you're just trying to keep yourself together because you think, oh, this is just weird. This will pass. And then it keeps going and it gets bigger. And then maybe it does pass, right? It does pass. And then the next day I wake up and I'm like, what was that? What's going on? I've never experienced that before. And I start to race. I start to problem solve. What caused that? Was it this? Was it something I did that day? Was it before? What's going on? Is there something wrong with me? Do I need to go to the doctor? All these things started coming in. So I flew back home. I remember about 2 weeks later, I was in the grocery store with my dad at a Safeway, and I was just I wasn't even there. I was just walking around like with fear, just fighting this fear. I remember texting my friend who had bad OCD at the time, and I asked him, "Do you have any Xanax? I need Xanax to calm down. I'm having anxiety." He said he didn't have any, so I made a doctor appointment for the next day or a couple days after. Medical doctors are there to treat your physical problems, so he gave me the Xanax, and I took it for months, and it worked. I mean, I just kind of felt numb and felt like I was just a different version of myself. I guess I was slightly calmer, but I wasn't really there either. It was just a way to not feel those things. That's all it was. It didn't do anything for my well-being or my mind. So I got off the Xanax kind of. I would carry it around with me in my pocket everywhere I went in case I needed one. So it was like taking Xanax. I started having fears. What if I keep taking it and I overdose? What if I take it and I get used to it and nothing works? So I just kept it with me. I couldn't go out with my friends. I couldn't do anything. And then one day I found this book called Outlast the Life, and it really changed my perspective on things and gave me the first little ray of hope. And that first little ray of hope kind of pushed me to kind of commit. This is what I was talking about earlier. I kind of committed. And when I kind of committed, I got kind of committing results. So I kind of went back to the way I was, and I was like, I kind of managed it a little bit. And I started going out with my friends, started drinking again, started hanging out with them, staying up late. And I started doing the same things. I remember worrying again, but I was like, oh, but I got this under control. I didn't really commit. I just thought I did enough to get rid of it, but I didn't commit. I didn't change my relationship. So then it came back with a vengeance. Like this was 10 times worse than it was, and it was bad. And I remember this is when bouts of insomnia came. I had months of insomnia where I just couldn't sleep. And you can't sleep because you're also thinking, well, I have to go to sleep in order not to have anxiety because I know sleep helps with anxiety, but I can't sleep. And I can't, right? And I tried everything. I was trying to force myself to sleep, just like I tried to force my thoughts away or force my anxiety away. And nothing that didn't work. Bad headaches, exhaustion, waking up in the middle of the night with just powerful feelings of fear and dread. When I think back on those, they were difficult times. And I remember one day I went into a Barnes& and Noble. I was like, "I gotta find something. There's some answer, a book somewhere." And I stumbled across this book, and it's called The Art of Happiness. I just remember seeing the Dalai Lama's face and thinking, "That guy, I know that guy. He's always smiling. He's always happy. He's gotta have a secret." And it turns out he kind of did. I remember reading this book, and it wasn't solely this book in Buddhism, but something clicked. And I read this, and I read about acceptance and transformation and understanding. I remember when I did that, clicked, and I knew right then that decision to buy that book, go home, read it in a couple days. Those 3 days was when I committed to the path, and I really started working with my thoughts. I started bringing them closer, and when I started bringing them closer, you start to see them differently, right? We're fused with them right now. So you can tell me, "Oh, I'm having these thoughts and these thoughts," but you're not really seeing them, you're reacting to them. Usually they'll say words like, "I can't, I need to get rid of this, I can't do this anymore, I can't have these thoughts anymore." Instead of things like, "I notice I'm having these thoughts," because we're not really noticing, we're just reacting blindly to them. And so when we do that, then we don't see anything. It's like the analogy, if you just see a gray wall and you just think it's a gray wall, you don't know that if you take a few steps back, it's an elephant. You can see it when you learn to distance yourself from it and create a gap, which I'll talk about in a minute. So, what is my goal as a coach or a teacher? The number one goal is to get you to where you want to go as fast as possible, right? And that's changing your relationship to your anxiety. Because I was just like you, I'm just a human being, and I was going through a really, really, really difficult part of my life for many, many years. The only difference is I committed to a path and I started to learn about what was going on with me. And now I want to share my wisdom, and hopefully you come along with me on this journey and share your wisdom that you learn with other people later down the road when you get that bowl, that capacity of a bowl. So, and if anybody has any questions or anything like that, please um, comment, question, anything like that, concerns, whatever you got to do. Again, I do apologize for we had the technical difficulties with the phone, so we're doing it on the computer, and so we went from like a Hollywood production down to independent film. But independent films are really hot nowadays. So let's just roll with that. But if you have questions, please send them in the chat, and I'll try to answer them the best I can. Um, so please, if you have a question, feel free to ask, and I will answer it. So we're just trying to roll with it, right? We're surrendering to the computer camera for today. That's what we're doing. So let's get into the content. Let's get into the content because we've talked enough about setting this up, and let's get into to what we're actually trying to deal with. So, what do we normally do with anxiety? I'm going to pull up a graph. Can you tell me if you can see this? Because the camera's a little smaller. So the camera's a little smaller, so I'm going to try this here. Um, so what we normally do, I'm going to move this back here. What we normally do is I call them the ings. Okay, these are called the ings: avoiding, changing, numbing, or fighting. That's what we usually do. We usually do these things. Again, they're called the ings. I like giving things a name because they're easier to remember. So we're fighting it, we're avoiding it with experiential avoidance. That's experiencing something and trying to run away from it with distractions. Anything can be, even exercising, things that are positive can be, I'm avoiding this by running or working out. You're not dealing with it. Changing it is trying to manipulate your thoughts, trying to bend them the way you want them to be. Thoughts don't like that. In fact, research does show that now, that the more you, from my anecdotal experience, I could tell you that, but thoughts are actually showing that now. So you have the ings down here if you can't see it. So we're at changing thoughts. You try to change your thoughts, doesn't like that. Doesn't like that because you're not dealing with it. And when you give thoughts a reaction, even a big one like that, especially a big one of fear, a powerful emotion like fear, then it thinks it's a threat. So humans have the ability to project out using the prefrontal cortex. We project out that image of, oh my God, remember I had that panic attack, I'm going to have it again. And it goes back to our emotional part of the brain and we fire out a threat response and then we're trapped in that loop. Now that's the mechanics of it, but we need to put concepts and words and lessons to it so we can understand and apply it. So we can get in touch with our true self and who we are. So the other ings are numbing, that's alcohol, that's sex, that's drugs, that's TV, whatever it is. We're blanking out. We're trying to blank out, right? But humans aren't meant to blank out. And then that's fighting, right? Which I talked about before. Fighting is just sitting there, "Go away, I need you to go away. You gotta get out of here." That's fighting. "I don't want this anymore. Why don't I have control?" Right? That's fighting. "I want control." And you can see how these aren't very structured like these, which we'll get to in a second. Can we see these pretty well? Okay. They're a little discombobulated, I like to say, because there's no structure in these. There's no structure. There's nothing firm to grab onto. That leads to this path of feeling stuck, feeling fear of fear too, which is how we get trapped in the loop, right? Whatever causes your anxiety is what caused it. If you don't know, you can't think, even if it's very obvious, we get stuck in the loop. And our main trigger right now is that we don't want this here, and we're fearing the next anxiety attack, fearing the next day, the next time we have to go out, next time we have to go outside, the next time we have to meet our friends. Am I going to feel like crap? Am I going to have a panic attack in public? We're fearing these things. And that's the fear of the fear cycle, which we'll get to in a second. We're living a rigid life, which I talked to. That's the cup, the small cup, right? The small cup that fills up quickly. Low capacity for life. Same thing. That's what I was just saying, right? At a low capacity and low energy for life. It's harder to live life when we're rigid. It's harder to do anything when we're rigid. We need to be pliant, right? We need to be the stream. When you flow down the stream, then you are one with the stream. You're going with it. Even if there's rough waters or rocks, you're still flowing. You're still going with the stream. And then you're disconnected from your true self because you're not accepting that you have anxiety right now, that you have these intrusive thoughts, that you have these disturbing emotions. And if we don't accept that and surrender to it, then we're just fighting who we are right now. And once we can learn to surrender and accept, we can go deeper. We can go deeper, connect to our true self, even if that means we have anxiety in that moment. And then from there, we can start learning and moving forward. As you can see, this doesn't move forward. It actually caps off right here, and there's arrows pointing down because these, this, that goes back. That's your cycle, right? So there's no open top. There's nowhere to go in this. It's just a container, and you're trapped inside that anxiety cycle. So that's how we usually handle things. We usually handle things by avoiding things, right? Remember that. Avoiding, fighting, changing, right? And numbing. What we usually do, there's an analogy I use with a car. You're usually driving your car, it's making funny sounds and it's starting to smoke. And instead of pulling over and opening the hood and checking underneath to see if you can figure out if there's something easy fix or something wrong, or even looking to see that there's a mechanic shop and they can actually help you because they've been through this before, you're just turning up the radio, singing along, staring straight out the window and trying to avoid the problem. And actually, you're causing the car to fight itself, right? And the music is helping you numb it. And you're just trying to change the situation. What happens? You keep driving the car like that and it breaks down. It just completely breaks down. So thoughts feed off these things in a negative anxiety loop. The ings, avoiding, changing, numbing, and fighting leads to being stuck, fear, rigid, low capacity for life, and disconnected from yourself. And you get trapped in that. So that's what we're doing incorrectly. And I did that for, I don't even know, maybe 4 or 5 years. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to get you to where you wanna go faster, maybe 6 or 7 years, really. It was a long time, and I needed somebody, and that started with books, that then led to therapists, that then led to teachers that showed me, "This is the path, right? This is it, right here. It's right there." You know, you're on a road, you're at a fork in the road. You don't know which direction to go. Well, if somebody's been to where you're trying to go, they can just go, "Oh, it's to the right. That's where we need to go." That's so crucial and so important. I think a lot of people don't realize, and it's no fault of their own. A lot of times it's a stigma. A lot of times people don't want to bring it up because they feel embarrassed. But we need people's help, right? We're all in this world together. We're all interconnected. We need people's help to get to where we want to go, and maybe we can become that person and help somebody else, right? So let me get into the method that I developed. The method that I developed is called the 4 pillars on the anxiety warrior path. And before I pull it back up, let me tell you what an anxiety warrior is. An anxiety warrior is not a soldier, not somebody who picks up a weapon and charges into battle with anger and aggression and frustration and trying to hurt the other side. right? This is not the warrior I'm talking about. The anxiety warrior, which is you now watching this, right? I don't really say much on my channel because I save it for people who actually commit and come to a class. This is the first class, but you're the first of the anxiety warriors here. What an anxiety warrior is someone who is disciplined, who uses their mind as their weapon and sharpens it with their intelligence by learning, who's compassionate and patient with themselves and their surroundings, who understands that when the battle comes at them, they can pull up a chair, sit there, and say, "This is me," and watch the battle and be okay with it raging around them because they're finding their center, they're connecting with themselves. That's what the anxiety warrior is. And it's the anxiety warrior path that you walk. And on that path are the four pillars. That's my method, the four pillars. In those pillars, there's a lot of information. In those pillars, there's a lot of information. So let's get into the positive side of this. So down here we have the four pillars, right? These are the four pillars. You have knowledge, compassion, acceptance, and diligence. And as you can see, these are much more structured, right? Much more organized because that's what they are. They're organized and structured and practical, and there's steps to get you to where you want to go, which is a life filled with more freedom, higher capacity, and higher energy for life, more self control. I hear a lot of people in the surveys and sending me messages talking about control. They want control of their life. Now, there are things in life you can't control, but we can learn to control our mind and control our attention and control in a way that benefits us, not that hurts us. There is a path out of that. There's more peace, more connection with yourself, and something I'll get to in just a minute, values. You can live that valued life. I'm going to briefly go through these to tell you why they're important and how they're interconnected. So we start with knowledge, right? Knowledge is important because we can't learn anything new unless we learn how to do it. You can try to do it, but you'll fail, and that's okay. As long as you fail and then keep learning, then we move forward. We fail again, and then we move forward. And the more we do that, the more we learn, the less we fail, and the more we succeed in what we're trying to do, right? And knowledge is crucial because you can't start the process without knowledge. So you have a software that's been built and written basically for you since you were born, right? A software that's been just through your habits, your patterns, through your upbringing, through your environment. Some of it's genetic too. That software was written without your permission, really. It was just kind of written and we kind of blindly went with it. Now we need to write a new software. However, we need to understand things. We can actually learn how to write a software. We need to rewrite the software and we need to learn how to do it. When I talked about going back to your old self, that's not what we want to do. In relation to what I was just talking about with software, we want to become, I used to say, I want to become Andrew 2.0, Andrew 2.0, a new version of myself. And in knowledge, there's understanding because you need to understand what's going on. We need to understand how thoughts work, how they arise, how we can learn to work with them to let them go. Letting go is not like letting go of a balloon, it's a process. It's a process of loosening your grip on the rope. Then we get to compassion and patience. Those go hand in hand. We have to be compassionate with ourselves. If you're compassionate with other people first, but you have all these issues that you're causing inside of you, then we're really just, it's kind of a self-loathing. We're kind of not taking care of ourselves. Can't be the best version of ourselves for other people and for ourselves. But we need patience in the learning process. Again, when I talk about these are foundational pillars. These are foundational. And in these, there's all the practical exercises, there's all the information, but we need to know these first to be able to come back to them. So patience, compassion, and you need those to get through the process because if you don't, you're going to get angry and frustrated and irritable. And those are close friends and relatives of anxiety. That's how we just get back into the cycles. So we need to practice that. Then you get to awareness and acceptance. That's the big word there, right? Everybody hears about acceptance and awareness. So awareness and acceptance are the big ones. But these are like muscles. It's like going to the gym. We need to learn how to do them so we can do some reps with them so they can get bigger and stronger. The more you work with acceptance and the practices of acceptance and awareness, The more we create that gap, I'm gonna put this down for just a second. The more we create that gap, and that gap that I'm talking about is that fusion. We're fused, right? And then we go, short-term skills kind of just get us to go like this, and then we're back. Long-term skills, right? This is your thoughts and sensations, your reaction to them, right? Here we go. Or like that. What acceptance and awareness does is you start to apply it to the situation through practices. I've listed a lot on my Instagram about the permission slip, about writing on a cue card, about meditation practices. We start to get what is called the gap. And that gap is the gap between our thoughts and sensations and our reaction to them. And in that gap, that's where you can see everything. That's where you can connect with yourself, is in that gap. Because right now, your thoughts and sensations are you're fused with them, and that's who you are. So any thought that pops up, I'm going crazy. I can't do this anymore. I can't go into work today. I can't deal with this person today. Can't go outside. You're so fused with them. There's no gap that you're walking around, and that is you. You're believing that everywhere you go. So we need to put into practice things that create the gap between our thoughts and our sensations and our reaction to them. And in there is how we connect with ourselves. So bringing this back up, and I know some of you just look like they just joined. Welcome. Um, then the last one we have is diligence. And going back to acceptance and awareness, again, you can't learn acceptance and awareness until you have knowledge. You can't have knowledge until you're patient with yourself about learning a new process. And you can't learn a new process like acceptance without having knowledge and compassion. Then we get to diligence. And diligence is also cultivation. And a little secret that I haven't said is that diligence and cultivation is the most important one to me because anybody can commit to these things for a week or 2 weeks. If we don't have diligence and cultivate these things in our life, then it'll just crumble and we'll go back to the beginning. And then we'll kind of commit and they'll crumble and go back to the beginning. This is a process, and in this process is the path forward to understanding our anxiety, to changing our relationship, and to overcoming its grip on our life. And again, it leads to all these things. And as you see at the top, it's open and arrows pointing up because there's more to go. There's more life to live. And these four pillars, remember, are foundational on the path. When we veer into the ings, changing, numbing, fighting, avoiding, when we veer into that, we have these to come back to. And when we come back to these, we get more confidence. And with more confidence, we get more motivation. More motivation, we learn the right skills. When we learn the right skills, we see more of these things in our life. Because these things will still happen in our life. But the more we do these, the more power we get, the more control we get, the less these are and they fade. They start to fade. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up another diagram in a second. But what I also want to do is talk about committing to something about that path. And there's 8 of us on here. So if you're on here, do me a quick favor. It's just 60 seconds. Just take a moment and close your eyes for a second. Just do it for me. We're all in our apartments, our houses, wherever we are watching alone. Close your eyes, and I want you to think of the things that you value the most in your life. I want you to think of the things you hold closest to you. That could be your role as a parent, as a brother, sister, could be your career, your relationship with your partner, could be your social life, any of those things. See what comes up when you think of what do I hold closest to me. Then open them real quick. Take a breath, and then close them again. And now I want you to think for a second of how anxiety, intrusive thoughts, intrusive emotions, and fear, how it gets in the way of you living those values to the fullest. Really see it. Maybe there's specific moments coming up. Maybe you're even getting a little anxiety right now. Let's see it. You can open your eyes now. I hope you participate in that because it's very important. So I'm going to pull up another diagram. We're moving along here. Somebody else has joined. Welcome. Again, we have technical difficulties, so we're using the computer or the phone. So, like I said, we're not doing a Hollywood movie. We're doing an independent film today. So, welcome. I want to go into this really quick about what I was just talking about with values, the cycle, and how we get out of it. Right here, we have your triggers. in your causes. Whatever those are for you, I don't know you all personally yet, but whatever those are for you, right now it doesn't matter because they help you right into this, which is the anxiety cycle. In this cycle, we have what if thoughts. What if I'm going crazy? What if this is me forever? What if I can never get out of this? What's happening to me? I am thoughts, right? That's what we really fuse. I am anxious. I have anxiety. I can't do this. I am losing my mind. I am such a loser because I have this anxiety. I can't do anything. And then it comes down here. I can't. I can't deal with this anymore. And then we have I need this to go away. And those thoughts just keep going around and around and around in the anxiety cycle. Now, there's usually 3 paths that people use to deal with this. One is we do nothing. We do nothing and or we stay the same. We just do the same thing. And that path leads right back, jumping right back in the cycle. We do nothing, it just goes like this, and it just keeps going. The second one's down here. We do it on our own, which I've tried, and that's what led me to not really committing and going back to the way I was. I got a little better. That's why there's a double arrow there. So you can kind of get better, but you kind of can stay the same, or you can also jump back in the cycle from time to time too. And it also takes a very, very, very long time. I don't know how long because I never actually did it all on my own. I learned from people, and that's how it got me forward. And the other one is a path, and that's the path I was talking about, and that moves you forward. That doesn't stay here and it doesn't go back. This moves you forward. The anxiety cycle will still be happening, but you'll learn how to break it. And when it comes back, you'll develop confidence. And those cycles get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And there's more capacity for you to live your life. So I just want to bring that up because we get stuck in those cycles very easily. And there are those 3 ways out of it. Those 3 ways out of it are very important to look at. Which ones are you doing right now? And which ones do you want to do? So what I'm going to be doing, because we're almost out of time today, is I can't teach everything in one class. But I have developed a course, an immersion course, and it's gonna start on January 30th. That's a Monday, and it'll be for 4 consecutive Mondays after that. They're all a little more than an hour each class, and it's gonna be live just like this, and I promise we'll get it fixed that we have the phone there. And it's gonna be live like this because I don't wanna send videos to people. I don't wanna record something and send it to you. I want us both to be accountable, that we both have to be there and do the work together. And that way we're working in real time. That way we're you have a question, I can answer it right there for you. And in this class, you're gonna be getting a deep immersion into your thoughts, how they work, how to work with them, what kind of thoughts are causing you trouble, how do we learn to let go of those thoughts and let them settle, as opposed to grabbing onto them or using those ins, right? Changing it, fighting it, avoiding it, trying to numb it. You're gonna learn how thoughts work, where they come from. You're gonna see how you grab onto them. You're gonna see that clearly. You're gonna get a deep immersion into the 4 pillars. Because like I said, you can know the names of those pillars and what they provide, but inside each of those pillars, there's practical exercises for acceptance and awareness, practical exercises to practice compassion and patience, create more capacity and space in your life. You'll be getting homework assignments each week, not a lot. I didn't like school very much either, but you'll be getting homework assignments. And that's because during the week, you need to practice it on your own. But of course, if you have questions with the homework assignments, you just ask me. You send me an email, you send me a message, and I'll answer you. That way, you're learning it on your own, not just with me in the class. So you can check in with me anytime during the week through all 4 of those classes. And of course, I won't abandon you after the course because you're the first anxiety warriors. So I want you to come with me after the course and ask me anything that you're having trouble applying and understanding. One of the classes is going to be a full-on meditation workshop. You're going to learn the pitfalls. You're going to learn how to practice, how to motivate yourself to practice, how to see things clearly, how to work with difficulties, even simple things, correct posture, right? The right mindset. We're gonna learn everything that we can about meditation, and I know people have these things about meditation, "Nah, it just doesn't work for me," but if we can learn from somebody I've been meditating now for 7 years. I've meditated, with, my teacher, very high meditation teacher, he's been studying for 50 years. I've also ran multiple meditation groups at the Buddhist meditation temple, and I've helped people with their struggles there as well. So if you have a guide, meditation becomes an amazing tool to move forward with. And when you start to see the benefits of meditation, then you prioritize it in your life. When you prioritize it, you start to see more changes. And meditation really connects with those 4 pillars. I've seen people at the meditation, the Buddhist temple I go to, when they start to commit and keep coming back to the classes, they change. Somebody just yesterday was there saying, 3 months ago, I came here riddled with anxiety, and I don't really have it that much anymore. That's because he's learning meditation from teachers there, right? So it's a full on immersion into all these things. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's tough. Challenges in our life are what help us grow. When we're stuck, we need to be challenged. So I'm asking you to come on this journey with me. You're also going to learn about my play strategy, PLAY, and how to apply it. It's a great strategy for moments where you're feeling anxious and you're forgetting all the things that you learned. The play strategy, I like play because it makes it more fun. The acronym play, you'll be able to apply that. And there's also a bonus. So if you order the course today, you're gonna get a one-on-one coaching session with me and a follow-up as well. So I want you to come along with me. I'm also gonna be talking a lot about analogies, perspective changing analogies that I haven't mentioned that are a little deeper, like the anxiety wrecking ball, the bully analogy, the tug of war analogy, and especially the dark room analogy. And these are really perspective changing analogies that can stick with you. And I'll stay connected with you through the whole course. Now, there's also a money back guarantee. So if in 2 weeks you're not satisfied with the course, you get your money back unconditionally. And if after the course you're done and you haven't really changed your relationship to your anxiety and understood enough and got what you wanted out of it, then you can make an appointment, sit down, and if it's an unresolved problem, you can get your money back there as well. I think this is a true opportunity for you right now to take a step with me together, and we can work together in real time in the classes and during the week, 4 weeks. And I know some people say, "Hey, money." Right, I do understand that. But let me just tell you, I spent $30,000 on my master's in psychology. I spent over $5,000 on books and courses and attending classes. So I could charge, like, a lot for this course to try and make my money back, but it's about helping people. That's the goal. It's about helping people, helping you get through your anxiety. Because when you're done with the course, you'll have a foundation that you can then go forward with and always come back to and always ask me questions about. It'll be a deep immersion. And immersion means you are immersing yourself for those 4 weeks. So the course is $242. You get all those things I listed above, and you get to keep all the diagrams, all the homework, and all the things that I create that you'll see in the course. I'm gonna share my screen. They'll be digital diagrams, not the cardboard. I just made the cardboard ones today because I wanted to do a task myself, focus on something. You'll get all that stuff for $242. And again, if you order today, you get the bonus of having a one-on-one coding session. And if it's about time, then the courses are live, but how you go back to your values. How worth it is it to make a change? How worth it is it to live that those values that were in your head without anxiety interfering with them? Is it worth a couple hours a week for 4 weeks? I know it is. So we're gonna post the link in the chat right now. There it is. If you order it tonight, you get the bonus session with me, which is a one-on-one coaching session, and you get the follow-up as well. And I just wanna say that I hope you come along with me together, right? I'm not gonna record this, we're gonna do it live. Come with me together, and let's make some serious change, not short-term change, long-term change. So, really glad you came along, and I hope you saw where you're at and where you can go, because it gets really deep. We can go really deep into this. We can really learn how to deal and work with our anxiety, our intrusive thoughts, and our sensations on a deeper level. But you gotta come along with me. You gotta make the commitment, and you gotta do it. So if there's any questions right now, I'll take any questions technical about the course, or if you have some questions about anxiety, I have a few minutes. We can do some questions here. If you don't, that's okay. The link is right there. I hope you come along for this journey 'cause I'm really excited about it, In fact, I'm so excited about it. I'm gonna do the course even if it's just me. So if you are interested, click the link. If you have questions, now's the time. Just type in the chat and I'll answer them. If not, I'll just be here for a couple minutes awkwardly and we'll see where it all goes. So thank you again for coming and really hope you enjoyed yourself today. Should play the Jeopardy music right now.
What is the
What if it's my biggest challenge?
what if it's my biggest
What if it's my biggest challenge? You mean anxiety itself? The time of the class will be at the same time. So it'll be 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, Tatiani, you can tell me exactly what you mean. What if it's my biggest challenge? But Ray, thank you for the question. The time of the class starts January 30th, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it'll be every Monday after that. So 4 Mondays. It'll all be at 7 p.m. And it'll be live with me, just like this. And you can also watch it later. So if you can't make the class, it will be recorded live, and then we'll send you the link, and you can watch it later. I just highly encourage people to be there for the live because you get the real-time Q&A, and it's just better to sit there and do it. Because sometimes I've had courses that I bought, and I kinda, like, I watch them, but I don't really, like, put a full hour or hour and a half in to watch it, and it's better to learn it in nice chunks like that. So, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for the question. And, the what if, it's my big the what you are not alone. The what if is that's it. I mean, that's the what if is the anxiety cycle, right? The what if, that's why it was the first one on the loop, because the statement itself already leads itself to something that is not happening. What if this happens? What if this doesn't go away? That's projecting out. What it means is you're projecting out. You fear the thing that's not there, thus causing anxiety about anxiety. You don't just have anxiety. There may have been a trigger at some point, whether it was a trauma like a loss or a trauma like a smaller trauma, like a really bad week or month that just blew up. Then you get stuck in the cycle. So you're not even having the anxiety from the trigger anymore. That's what exploded it. But now you're having anxiety from being stuck in the what if loop. What if this is me forever? What if I go crazy? What if I can't do this? What if my anxiety doesn't go away? What if medication doesn't work? What if therapy doesn't work? I can just go on and on. I've had all these thoughts. I still get what if thoughts, but guess what? I know how to work with them. I know how to work with them. I can see the thought in the moment, the gap. When I see that gap, and I can see the thought instead of being fused with it. When we're fused with it, the what if thoughts take over, and that's when you spiral into a panic attack. I mean, it can be as simple as you have a reservation for a restaurant, and you're like, "What if I miss my reservation? What if they don't show up? What if I go? What if?" And then boom, you have a panic attack about going to a restaurant. I've had that personally. But Tachiani, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I feel and have lived the pain. So that's why I think the course would be great. Would be great for you. And so the link is pinned at the top. And I'll be here for a few more minutes. If people have other questions, let me know. And again, this is the first course I'm offering, so you'll be my first, like, when the first child is born, that's the favorite. I'm an only child, so I think I hope I'm the favorite. But it's like you guys will be the first ones in this course, so I'm really excited to do it, and I hope you come along because asking the what if is my biggest challenge. Those are thoughts that I've lived with for I lived with for years and years and years. That's where my expertise lies. I'm going to CBT therapy for 3 years, learned a lot of techniques recently, wasn't getting much out of it. Any suggestions? The course, my course is a suggestion. So my course is also very closely related with ACT therapy. ACT therapy is acceptance and commitment therapy. If you weren't here at the beginning, I did show that ACT therapy studies showing that ACT therapy is providing more results than CBT therapy. I've recently finished an ACT course, an immersion course on that. run by its founder, Dr. Stephen Hayes. So ACT is, and just think of it this way: it's a 4-week immersion, and usually a therapist costs. I know my last therapist cost $125 a session. So that's just 2 sessions, and you're already over this price of 242. So I'm trying to make that a selling point because $242 for 4 weeks with all the stuff that you get in it about learning about your thoughts, intrusive thoughts, understanding your thoughts, your sensations, practical applications of acceptance, awareness, a meditation workshop, homework assignments. There's a lot of stuff to go into it. Diagrams that are going to show you piece by piece how your anxiety, how we get caught in the web of anxiety and the what if thoughts. And the ACT course was almost $700. So this course is 242. So anybody who's asking a question, I'm so thankful that you're asking these questions, and I really hope that if you're asking that question, that you're showing some interest in the course because one question is not going to solve anything. It's not. It's going to make you curious. So my suggestion would be to take the course. Um, wow, that's awesome. Thank you. So you got it off, and did you get it when it came out? Because it came out like 2018. It was on Amazon for a few years though. 2020. Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's so cool. Thank you so much. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's really, 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 really cool. So I'm not going to keep pushing, but the course is way deeper than the book because in those 5 years since I wrote it, uh, I've really taken it to a next level. So the boulder hitting, yeah, yeah, the boulder, the snowball. Are you talking about the snowball effect? The snowball rolling down and crashing? I believe that's it. I think that's it. I hope that's it because I wrote it. So yes, the snowball effect. Right. The snowball effect is a great way to just explain how there's a tiny little snow pebble at the top of a hill, and all it takes is one little push. That's why people get so caught up in their triggers and their causes. Sometimes they're very blatant and like right there, like, oh, I lost somebody right in front of me. Oh, I lost them. You know, that's something really. Oh, I'm in an abusive relationship, but a lot of people who suffer with anxiety, it's just life and patterns and habits. This method works for all those things, but it's life, patterns, and habits, and it just takes one little push like that. You're just ripe for it. It takes one little push, and that little snowball starts going down the hill. What happens with the snowball? The analogy is it just keeps picking up more snow until it gets bigger and bigger, and then it just crashes at the bottom of the hill. And I may have wrote that it crashes into a house or something like that. So that's great. I'm very happy. So the course is built for you because you already know kind of where I come from. But again, 5 years since I wrote that book, and I got my master's degree within that 5 years. I've taken my Eastern psychology and Eastern philosophy studies and meditation just on levels deeper. So the course is far more immersive than the entire book. So I'll be around for a couple more minutes, and then I will go. I have a lot of anticipatory anxiety. Does your course? Absolutely. I was a musician. I still am. I used to play more shows. I had anticipatory anxiety before this live, right? But I know how to deal with it because I trust myself now. I trust myself and the confidence that I've built. I used to play bigger show. I used to be a musician and travel and play as a singer-songwriter, and I had many times where I played on big stages in front of 1,000 people, 500 people. I sold out shows in Sacramento here to 300 people, and you bet your ass I got nervous. Like, I got really bad anxiety. But guess what happened? When I went on stage, it is all gone. And why? Because I prepared myself. And I remember telling myself that if I mess up, but I prepared myself, right? This is being patient with myself. This is utilizing the knowledge. I played this song 1,000 times. If I prepared myself, then if something goes wrong, I'm just I'm just a human. it's okay to mess up. So once I got on stage, that confidence that I built from preparing myself and practicing my skill came out, and I felt so natural even in front of 500 people. I remember one show was at the Independent in San Francisco. Was a dream for me to play. I opened for I can't remember his name, um, Sam something. Anyway, 500 people sold out. No one really knew who I was. I had promoted and got some people there, but he was the headliner, and I came out, and people started screaming and cheering, and I was like, "What? What?" Yeah. And I was like, "You guys don't even know who I am. Like, this is amazing." And then you just go into it. But backstage, I was jumping up and down, shaking out all my anxiety because it was a lot of, "What if I mess up? What if I forget the lyrics? What if? What if? What if?" That goes back to Tachiani's thing, "What if?" But those things aren't happening, so it's just trusting in the process, trusting the work you've put in. The work you put in, that's what the course is. So it's something like that. If you take the course, then you build the confidence. When you build the confidence, you get the motivation to keep going with it. When you keep going with it, you deepen your ability in the skills. And when you deepen your ability in the skills, and when you jump on stage, it's just natural. It just comes natural. So absolutely. The thing with anxiety is it's universal, um, in terms of its feelings. Everybody have different thoughts or different contexts, but the feelings of anxiety are pretty much the same. They can manifest physically in different ways. People do different things. OCD is an example, but there's also a humanness to it. And if there's a humanness to it, and I can tell you and show you how I did this and how I did that, and it's just a matter of committing to the process and learning and doing it. And I know $242 may sound like a lot, but when you compare it to what it would be to do it on your own or to take a course that costs $3,000, which I've seen those too, or to do it on your own and buy all the books and do all the studying. And even then, when you do that, there's no one really to tell you, oh, well, yeah, do you know how to apply that? You can read it and go, oh, and that's a moment, but then you just go about your life. You're not applying it. It has to be practical. This course is like going to the gym 4 solid weeks. It's like if you go to a gym 1 day a week, you gonna get results? No. If you go to the gym 5 days a week by yourself, are you gonna get results? Probably. You'll probably get some results if you're committed like that. If you go to the gym 5 days a week and you have a personal trainer who's experienced in nutrition, form, which exercises to do, how to build the muscles, how much to rest, how much to work out, what to eat after, what to eat before, what to eat before you go to bed, how to s you can get better results than if you did it by yourself or you just went 1 day a week. Yes. So that's where it's worth it. So I think we're gonna end it unless somebody has another question. If you just joined and you registered for this class, which you did, we're gonna be sending, the email of the video so you can watch it again. You can watch it. We've been doing a Q&A for about 15 minutes or so, so the video is about 45 minutes, but we're talking about the course that I'm offering if you just joined. The course that I'm offering, the link is at the top, and it's an immersive course into the 4 pillars. It's an immersive course into thoughts, understanding thoughts, connecting to yourself, understanding who you are right now, and working from there. There's analogies, there's diagrams, there's meditation workshop. One of the classes is a full meditation workshop, and it's on January 30th, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It'll be 4 consecutive Mondays. It'll be homework. It'll be a great time. And there'll be question and answer sessions after each class and during the week if need help with homework and all that. And after the course too, you can obviously ask me questions for as long as you need. So anyway, we're gonna wrap it up. The link is there. I hope to see you. If you actually do click now, you get a bonus one-on-one coaching session with me and a follow-up as well. So I hope this has been educational, and I hope that you have the correct motivation. And I see you guys around next time. So thank you again, and I hope to see you January 30th at the course. See ya.